Alright guys, Surgical here back again today. Hope you're all enjoying your Sunday so far. Today I want to talk about Damon Karma Barlow, the only 3-time world champion we have in Call of Duty, but Crimsix of course just overtook him in terms of overall earnings throughout his entire career. And Karma, a guy who's been a legend in Call of Duty for so many years, considered the GOAT, the greatest of all time by many, but nowadays often being overtaken in that conversation by Crimsix and also Seth Scump Abner, now of the Chicago Huntsmen of course, long-time teammates all three of these guys, but now on separate teams. What does that mean for the future? Because Karma, arguably his best years are behind him. Can he make it work again in the coming years, or is he going to continue to play to, you know, support his family? And he's got a kid and a wife, and it's a different realm we find ourselves now in Call of Duty, rather than back in the day where it was about different things. We didn't seem to have players being that their job was to play. Nowadays with franchising and proper big salaries, that was one of the reasons I think Crimsix said early season that he's not playing with Karma this season, was just because of the salary cap in the league. They wanted to separate so they could keep raking in the money. However, are Karma's best years behind him? Does he still have it in the tank to win more events and win another world championship? Who knows? You know, he's pretty in the latter half of his career, you've got to say right now. Be intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below, because a legendary Call of Duty player, but as of late hasn't really been taking the spotlight. Like if you guys enjoy, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Let's hop right into it here. So first of all, as Crimsix says, this is what it looks like right now in terms of overall console player earnings. Crimsix, after winning this most recent Los Angeles home series event, tops the list with 808,000 overall. Karma just behind, Clayster behind him there, and Scump down in 5th, and some other very well-known players. Of course, Aches down in here, a double world champion, and Nabel actually just above him, but obviously many names you will be aware of. Let's look through Karma's career then, and I wanted to go through not only his career, but also the kind of statistics he has put up throughout his career. So this should just about work on screen. Of course, Karma, absolute veteran of the scene, been around for ages. Pretty much he's the only player that's been on every single Dynasty team. We kind of consider there to be 3 Dynasty eras, one of which being this Freako Impact team early on. Not as much of a Dynasty as some teams, because it was only for a few months here in the early part of Black Ops 2, but back in the day this was pretty impressive. And so this Freako Impact team of Karma, Killer, Miracles and Parasite, they went on to win the first ever, the inaugural Call of Duty World Championship in 2013, walking away with the lion's share of the $1 million prize pool. They win that one, crazy scenes to be honest, and then just after that the team broke up. Then Karma went on to Envy for a little bit, and then of course in the Ghosts days. So let's firstly have a look at some stats here from the Black Ops 2 World Championship. We'll go on to exactly the future in a second here, but these were the statistics from the Black Ops 2 days. Karma was considered widely one of the very best players in the world in Black Ops 2, at least at times he was considered the best player. These were the stats from Champs, and if you consider the players that played the most maps here at Champs, so Swanee and Jerd actually leading it up here. Swanee with a ridiculous KD. He was playing with some Italians at that event though. So Karma ended up winning the event with a 1.26 overall. Remarkable stuff. Here in CTF captures, he's pretty high up on the scoreboard as well. And in terms of Slayer, he's at number 6, only, you know, a few behind Scump. So look, Karma, what a fantastic player he was back in the day. Considered one of the villains of the scene, really, on this Freako Impact squad. Of course, later teaming on OpTic Gaming and with the likes of Scump and the OpTic Gaming crew, turned his reputation around a little bit. But back in the day, he was kind of considered a bit of a villain in the scene. But he was just such a phenomenal player. I'm sure some of you guys remember that he dropped that 28 kill streak on Yemen Hardpoint with the M8 in hand, playing against some European squad. So back in the day was considered one of the very best players in the game, and for good reason. A lot of people say best player throughout Black Ops 2, probably Karma you'd give it to on average. But over the last several years, that hasn't exactly worked out in the same way, and other players have overtaken him in terms of raw skill. Of course, he still brings a lot to a team today, but is it enough to win championships to be considered one of the best in the world? It's probably not. So we'll have a look at that in a couple of minutes here. So let's go on to the Ghost days then. This is what happens from there. Joins the Complexity team after having a pretty poor result with Envy at the Fall Championship. And then this is the second Dynasty, I suppose. This Ghost team, the Complexity, and then Evil Genius's squad was absolutely unbelievable. Of course, he joins this Complexity team for Clayster. Clayster moves out, Karma comes back in, and they continue their dominant run that they had with Clay, winning the World Championship 2014. So Karma, immediately wins the first 2 World Championships ever, was dropping unbelievable numbers here, and this complexity and then Evil Genius's run was just unprecedented. Karma immediately racking up an incredible amount of wins early on. Crimsix now has about 33 wins overall in terms of major LAN championships. Scump's a few behind him on about 28, and Karma's a few behind that on 24. So, you know, Karma's still right up there, but over the last few years, Crimsix has kind of distanced himself from the rest, and as Karma, of course, has moved on to this Seattle Surge team now, probably not expected to do as well as the Dallas Empire. So that's, of course, a question for a couple of minutes' time, and for you guys in the comment section below. Let's have a look at some stats then at this event. So this is just to put this in perspective, how dominant Complexity were. This was at the World Championship. They go 8-0 match count, don't lose a match. They only lose 4 maps over the course of it, 3 S&Ds, 1 Blitz. They win every single domination. How remarkable is that? Eggs with a 1.35, TP with a 1.12, Crim with a 1.36, Karma with a 1.29. So that you don't see these numbers out of Karma anymore, but back in the day, Black Ops 2 Ghost days, this was regular billings for Karma. He was on another level, and in terms of KD ratio, like, he's right up there, especially given the kind of role he played on the team. It was pretty impressive for him to be putting up these numbers, but that was just the Complexity squad in a nutshell, to be honest. And then, of course, we have the OpTic Gaming dynasty that they moved into over the Black Ops 3 and Infinite Warfare days. So OpTic Gaming is Scump, Formal, Crimsix, and Karma. This team ended up forming. Black Ops 3, they won several championships in a row, but fell short of the World Championships, and then they kind of capped off the dynasty at the World Championship 2017. A lot of you guys may remember, I think it was at this Atlanta event when they were on the verge of going out in the tournament in about top 16. They were up against Fastballer's team, and it was a 1v1, game 5, round 11, Karma versus Fastballer. Karma clutched it up in the end. That was considered one of the biggest turning points in Call of Duty history, because if Karma doesn't win that 1v1, OpTic go out of the tournament in like top 16 or something like that, very, very likely they break up. But they win that, they make the losers run, they lose to E United in the end in the grand finals, but that catalyzes the team once again. They go on to win Paris, Dallas, and the stage 1 playoffs, they fall a little bit short to, of course, the Splice team that won. Then Anaheim, they lose as well, but then they bounce back in the latter half of the season up against Team Envy, winning stage 2 playoffs and the World Championships. And let's have a look at some stats from this. So, of course, this was a different team dynamic for sure. Kambo was not on this team as a main slayer, kind of like he was back in the day. He was more of an objective style player and doing the dirty work I think a lot of people have associated with Karma. When you've got Crim, Scump, and Formal on your team, there's not really too many kills to fly around. So he dropped to 1.06 this event. Pretty good for Karma overall. 19-6 they went in terms of map count. Hardpoint Karma was honestly one of the top slayers, and he was leading out Crimsix in terms of slaying as well, which is pretty impressive. That was a great tournament from him, but since then, it hasn't been so hot. So the World War II season obviously did not go so well for OpTic Gaming. And we'll find that after this Seattle loss, Karma got dropped to the bench, Methodz and Octane came into the team, Crimsix went out of the squad, of course, or not Crimsix, Formal went out of the squad onto Luminosity, Crim stayed, Scump and Crim, Octane and Methodz came into the squad, and Karma, did a little bit on stream saying like, look, I'm on the bench now, I'm not even going to be playing at the World Championships, this is super rare for me, of course, the first player to have won 3 rings, 3 World Championship victories, no one else has come close to that, or well, I mean, people are on 2, but people haven't come super close to winning a 3rd, so it's pretty incredible that he's managed to do this, but the last couple of years obviously hasn't been so good. He gets dropped to the bench here by the OpTic Gaming guys, and a lot of people are saying like, is this the end? Karma hasn't been playing so well throughout World War II. We'll look at some of his stats here, over 140 maps, 0.98 KD, 0.9 in search, pretty high in terms of hardpoint assists this is over at the right hand side, but in terms of slaying, not exactly where he used to be. Of course, playing a different role on the team, but his individual talent is, maybe it's stabilized and stayed the same, but there's a lot of other players that have now surpassed that and are better than Karma is right now in terms of raw slaying ability. I think it's tough to argue otherwise. Just something that happens, I suppose, when you get older as a player. I think Karma's about 26 now, so definitely getting on, right? I mean, Clace is still winning events at 27, so is Crimsix at 26, but Karma, can he still do it? That's the question. So, World War II gets put to the bench. The really incredible thing here about Kambo, which does make me believe that it is possible for him to come back, is early in the Black Ops 4 season, the OpTic Gaming team comes about, they bring Karma back, Scump and Crim say like, damn, thanks Damon for actually coming back and joining us, you didn't have to, we kind of left you out in the dry at the end of the World War II season. Karma comes back, they win the first event, and Karma was a really great player early on in that season. I think a lot of you guys may remember, Dashy had some visa issues, he couldn't play in the team, Karma subbed in for him, or ZooMaa subbed in, but Karma really took over the slaying is what I was trying to go for there, and he was such a great player early Black Ops 4. but it doesn't work out towards the end. They don't win anything for the rest of the season, and now going into the Modern Warfare season, Karma gets on this team with Enable, Octane, Slacked, and Apathy, and these are the statistics so far. So, as I said earlier in the video, some of the reasons, as far as I'm aware, that they went on this team was because Karma couldn't team with Crimsix and some of the other squads he may have had the opportunity to, because he wanted to basically make the bank and cash in where possible, which is understandable. I think Crim did say that, they're like, we couldn't team together because the salary cap was just going to be too high. And I'm sure Octane's making bank as well. Apathy, of course, a 2-time world champion on this squad as well. But his team has not had really any success so far this season. We'll look at where they are right now. 5th or 6th at Los Angeles, 5th or 6th at London. You know, they don't do anything good at the first couple of weekends. They do make this roster change with Enabler and Pandering, but it doesn't really seem to catalyze them too much at Los Angeles. This is the overall stats. I'll leave all the relevant links down this in the comment section below. Karma's sitting at a 0.93. Apathy, you know, somewhat above him, and this is interesting because you would expect that with Karma on a team that also has players that have typically played the dirty work, difficult roles, that being Enable and Slack, to have been there for the majority of the games. Of course, Pan has only played one event, so have to take these statistics with a little bit of a grain of salt. But in that kind of team dynamic with Slacked and Enable, you would expect that just when ZooMaa came into the team and Dashy had to step out, Karma to take over some of the slaying. He's done it on occasion, but it hasn't been impressive enough to me to feel like he still has it in him to be a championship squad. Now Octane's up here dropping a 1.3, Apathy's up here dropping a 1.09. If there's anyone out of the team that you want to be putting up a 1.1 and this team to be winning events, it's got to be Karma that has to step up, I suppose, in theory, at least what he's been able to do in the past. Does he still have an in to do that? It's a good question, and I'm not sure he does. Now, having said that, of course, the World War II season, a lot of people probably would have said the similar thing. You put Karma on the bench, he wasn't always performing, he was often having poor series when they lost, then he steps out, comes back in Black Ops 4, wins the very first championship. However, is it possible today? And is his name losing some of the prestige that it used to have? Because I do fear that teams next season, if there are some shuffles, are people going to be looking at Karma thinking, oh, he's the guy to pick up, he's bordering on 27, hasn't won an event in a couple of years, hasn't performed as he used to. Is the future there? Because the question is, of course, he's the only 3-time world champion right now. There's players like Apathy, like I suppose Aches is up there. Crimsix, of course, is there with the 2 world championships as well. Clayster with the 2 world championships now as well. That's looking to get the 3rd and overtake him. And Jacob, of course, with the outside potential on the OpTic Gaming squad to catch up to Karma and overtake him. Right now, Karma's still there on the 3 rings. Seems to me that probably someone will catch him up and overtake him maybe at some point. Is it even possible to get 4 in the current climate before people retire? Who knows? But it doesn't seem to me like Karma's right there right now. So the question is, can he bounce back? I think it is doubtful at this point. I think he's at that point of his career, it's going to be very difficult to. But he's proved plenty of people wrong in the past, so we'll have to see. But on this squad, is this the squad that makes it happen? I kind of don't think so. So the question being, is someone else going to pick him up next season that's going to give him a better opportunity? Because maybe he had the opportunity this season to go on a team like Empire or something like that, depending on how things worked out. That may have worked out a lot better for him. But this squad just doesn't seem to have it in them right now. But at the same time, like, he's got to cater for a family, right? It's a different situation we have now in Call of Duty and in esports more generally than we had in the past. So you've got to say, like, fair enough. If he doesn't win any more championships, that's fine. But as long as he's still a big name within the community and he's a big personality, of course, and still putting up decent numbers and can still actually compete at the highest level, even if he's not one of the very best players like he used to be back in the day, he's still, you know, feeding his family, right? And that's something that you got to respect, and that's something that is a different way to look at things nowadays, given that it's just impossible to do this as your regular job, even if you're not the best player in the game anymore. So very strange circumstances we find ourselves in, but hopefully Karma can bounce back. I would like to see it. I just don't think it's incredibly likely. And what does it really take to resuscitate this Seattle squad? Like if you guys enjoyed, subscribe if you're new as always, I would greatly appreciate it. Thanks for watching, thoughts down below in the comment section below, I'll read them all as always. I'll see you next time.